What's going on? We're gonna be talking about just like ways to get better at the game. A lot of people have been requesting this for like ranked grind or whatever. I think it's kind of worth touching on because a lot of people don't know where they're going wrong with Volleyball Legends. And that's okay, because it is kind of hard to, you know, take a step back and analyze your own playing. So starting off in bronze, biggest thing you're gonna want to do is just learn the basics. Frankly, if you're in bronze, you kind of just don't know what's going on the court. You're probably new, you're probably like not terribly experienced. The biggest thing I'd say is learning how to not hit your spikes too low. Make sure you kind of understand how to get it over the net with power. And knowing your style as well. Not that you need to really play into your style's strengths in bronze, but if you're saying, for example, so let's say you're playing Twins because they released recently. He's got a pretty low spike stat, so you're not going to really be spiking with him. Or with Akuto. Obviously it's Twins, so you can just switch to get Okuro, get the spike. But, you know, ignoring that, thinking it was just this, you don't have a great spike stat, so your spike is going to change. When I'm jumping, that's a lot sharper of an angle on Twins, so I can't W tilt as easy. Otherwise, it's going to be too low every time. But then I can S tilt a little bit easier because it's a sharper angle overall. Whereas TSH, S tilting is a little bit deeper. You can watch my TSH guide for more on that. So I'll put some side-by-sides for the TSH and the Akuto spike. But yeah. Playing into your strengths is kind of helpful, but I wouldn't call it necessary at bronze. That's more of a silver thing you need to start doing. Bronze, learn how to serve, learn how to not spike it directly into the block, because the ball will go wherever your camera is looking. So I want the ball there, I look there. I want the ball over there, I look there. If I want it straight, I'll just look straight. If there's a blocker in front of you, and it's third touch, then don't spike directly into the blocker. Try to turn, look over there, spike it down there. If it's second touch, make sure you use your sets. If you received a serve or something, the ball's up here, you gotta, you know, make a decision if you're gonna spike it directly because you have an opening, or say your teammate's over here, throw a little set to him. And then maybe you'll get over there, he'll spike the ball in. If you're gonna do that, I'd recommend queuing with them so you can communicate, because solo queue in bronze, they're not really gonna know what's happening either if they're in bronze, unless they saw this video. Share this video with them, oh my god! They're not really gonna know what's happening either. So that's more useful if you're queuing with someone, but you know, maybe they'll... If it's longer like that, like if you're on the side instead of the middle, you can throw a set. Maybe, you know, they'll catch it. Again, if you have a style with a high set, like you're playing Taicho or TSO, because they just released recently, your set's going to be a lot faster. It's going to be harder for them to react, so keep that in mind. That's really what I'd say to get out of bronze. Like, spiking is... You kind of got to feel it out. That's what I did. You can see that there's a pretty distinct line for the ball. Like, each ball has a different trail. I like mine because you can see the trail a little bit nicer. You see that line that the ball follows? You want to make sure that's going well over the net anytime. If you're not giving it that space, then it's not going to go over the net fast. It's going to arc over. So you need to learn your character's spike arc, and you can just mess around in a practice like this and just kind of feel it out. The biggest thing is having like a high jump stat, a high spike stat. That'll change it a lot, but you know, you're learning. It's understandable if you don't have the best style. You just kind of feel it out, learn what you can do, and it changes from far away as well. Like the farther you are, the more you're going to be wanting to do no tilt versus S tilt instead of W tilt, because once you're far enough, W tilt is completely useless because your arc just won't be able to fit over. That's what I'd say to get out of bronze. It's kind of just learning the game, learning how to read your opponents, learning how to spike not into the block. That's from my experience. Silver is probably the worst rank to be hard stuck in this game. just because it's full of anyone that's smurfing or people that just barely got out of bronze. Big thing in silver is starting to play to your style's strength. I touched on this in my bronze video, but knowing what your style is good at will make a difference for sure. So I'm playing TSH. He's my main at this point. He's got great spike, great speed, and a good jump. He's a spiker, more or less. So I'm only really going to be spiking or receiving so that my team can set me so that I can spike. I'm never going to be blocking just because his block stat is so low. And that's something you shouldn't really do on anyone unless, say, you have like Mikage or Hirakumi, because they have max block stats. Or if you have twins, you could use Okuro, but that's a little bit more of a niche use case. You shouldn't really be blocking on anyone, usually. But playing to your character's strengths certainly does help. Like, if I'm playing Taicho, I'm not going to be spiking terribly often. I'm going to be setting. You kind of just want to play to what you're good at. Like, say you personally are a better spiker. Try to get a spiking style. Like, Sanu's always available. Kazana's out right now. That's probably the biggest thing that I see people not doing. I'll see a lot of people playing like Kyamo or Hirakumi, and they're always spiking. They're just jumping and spiking the ball. Another thing that I'd think about when you're in silver is playing with your team, being patient. You have a lot of time in your game to think about what's happening. A lot of people are trying to like rush the play, like, oh, we need to spike fast, we need to get the ball over, we need to win. Take your time. I'm always thinking about what's going on. I'm never really like, oh, we need to go quick, we need to go quick. Don't get me wrong, in like later ranks like Diamond Pro, you're gonna be moving a lot faster, but when you're at that point, you'll be used to constantly thinking about it, and you'll know your timing a lot better. Silver, you're kind of learning that timing, you're kind of figuring it out. Because I see a lot of silver players, like even in my my solo Q3s to pro, a lot of them are just spiking on second hit. They're not setting, they're not taking their time. They just see the ball get received, they're like, oh, I'm gonna spike that, and then they don't think about where they're spiking. They just, oh, I'm jumping for the ball and I'm hitting it now. You can think a little bit. You can take your time, use your team. They're silver too. They know what's going on, kind of. So you can use them. If you see a guy over there, throw him a set. You know, maybe he's ready for a spike. He's got the angles down. You'll get that in. And if not, then, you know, at least you tried. You have a lot of time. You have 3 touches. Make sure you use them when you need to. Like, just because you have 3 touches doesn't mean you have to use them, but it's usually the better play. I'd say 9 times out of 10, you should be using all 3 touches. Another big thing for silver is learning how to receive. I see a lot of silver players like diving for the ball, which is nice, don't get me wrong. You know, if the ball's coming, you can dive for it, it'll just go straight up. And that is useful in some circumstances, like say the ball's, I don't know, like just back here. You don't want to be like, a lot of people would just, you know, run at it, they'd, oh, I'm setting the ball, and then it's even further out. So in that case, assuming you're like running, looking at the ball, you could dive it, it'll go straight up. Or you could just run backwards at it. Oh. You just run backwards at it and then, you know, light bump, whatever. I'd recommend learning to stop pressing your dive key. It's important, especially if, you know, you're barely gonna reach it, but for the most part, especially on like serves or whatever, you can get away with just setting the ball. It's coming at you, I know it's fast, but you can react to it. You can just, it's coming at you, set the ball up, it's right here, and you're still able to move. That's the biggest point about, you know, pressing the set key or like a low power bump over a dive, because then you're able to, you know, keep moving, get in position so that your team can, you know, set you, or you can receive if they're just going to spike into the block, which I see a lot too. And, you know, just as with bronze, a lot of people just, they see the ball and they see the net and they want to get it over. There's a blocker there that's just not going to get over at all. It's going to come back at you. Practice actually turning, you know, not getting into the block. You can maybe work on your placement a little bit more. You can like start hitting corners and whatever. I'd say that's more gold though. Right now, you're still kind of like, you're mastering the basics at this point, and you're starting to incorporate like a little bit more movement, like setting instead of diving. It's really important. Serving, once again, it doesn't really matter all that much. As long as you can get the ball over with power and in the box, I'd say that's solid for right now. You don't need to worry about placement and aces, whatever. Really, that's it for silver. It's just gaining consistency with the basics, kind of learning what you're doing. And you should, you know, climb out, especially if you have friends that you play with, you have a team. That helps a lot. Solo queue isn't for everyone. You definitely need a solid understanding of the game before you start solo queuing. And that's easily attained by just playing public games. Like, I think I didn't really go on a ranked grind until recently. I think it was like level 200 before I started playing ranked at all. It's definitely not a problem to be sitting in ranked games, and if people say, oh, you're sweating, no, you're not. You're learning. You're on a stepping stone to get better, and that's completely fine. You know, everyone's been there. We've all been silver once. You'll get out. Just keep your head down, keep focusing, keep grinding, you'll be fine. All right, you've made it out of silver. Now it's time for gold. Gold is one of the hardest ranks to climb out of, I'd say, because you're going to be facing diamond players, which kind of know what they're doing most times. Number one for gold is really start playing without your shift lock on. I see a lot of gold players, they're just running around like this, which makes you really predictable. Like, if I'm going to go for a spike this way, I'm just looking this way, the enemy's going to see that. They're going to go here, and then when I spike it, they're just going to save it. So if I start playing without shift lock, I can, you know, point myself whichever way I want. And if I want the spike to go that way, I just press shift, I jump up, and then I spike that way. It makes it a lot harder to read, which is really important, because once your teammate, or once the enemies know how to receive, they're going to be stopping every spike you have. To shift lock toggle, all you do is just take shift off, and then run around, you know, whatever. And then right before you're about to jump, you press shift, then you jump. The closer you can get those buttons together, the better. But, you know, if you're just starting out, you're not quite used to it yet, that's fine. When you're just starting out, you're not used to it, maybe you, like, the ball's up, you go, That's fine. You know, it still makes it harder for you to read. Because they're thinking, oh, why is he looking backwards? What's he gonna do? Why is he doing all that? And then you flip over, and then bam, surprise them, catch them off guard. They're not fast enough to receive it. It's easy spike. That's probably the biggest thing I'd say, is start working on that. You know, work in public games, work in a private server, just figure it out. If you got friends, you know, practice with them. It's probably the most useful thing in all of Volleyball Legends, in my opinion. It's not quite important until gold, that's why I haven't touched on it. But, you know, once you're here, it's definitely a useful thing to know and start really working on. Gold is kind of where you start playing with tech, and you start, like, actually using your team a lot more. So if I'm playing TSH, if I'm playing threes, I'm going to want another spiker on my team, and I'm going to want a setter. You kind of want to be able to keep your setter available to be able to actually set. So if they're serving and you have, you know, your two teammates, say that my other spiker's right here and my setter's over here. I spawned here. Where should I cover? Well, I got a spiker on this side. So if he touches it, then the setter can use the second touch to set either one of us. If the setter receives it, then that means that the spiker's either going to set the spiker or the spiker's just going to spike. And, you know, not the worst case scenario, but it makes it a lot harder to actually, you know, formulate a play. So because I'm playing a spiker, I have a spiker here, I have a setter here, I'm going to want to cover my setter on the serve so that if the server decides to go this way, I can save it to keep my setter's touch open so he can set either me or my teammate. That's a huge thing that a lot of people don't realize. And when you're a setter and you're playing with two spikers, that, like, if you're queuing with them, they should know this. If it's random queue, it's a little bit tougher. You kind of got to feel it out. But if they know this, then you should try your best to not receive ever. Your goal as the setter should be to set. It shouldn't be to, you know, keep the ball up in the air. It should be set first and foremost. Obviously, if, like, you have both your spikers blocking and then they set over here, you're on the ground, you got to get over here. You got to save that ball. If it calls upon you, you will need to save the ball, and that's okay. You know, that's just part of the game. But for the most part, you should not be receiving if you're a setter. If you're a spiker, you should be covering your setter at all times. Abilities really come into play now. You'll see them in silver every now and again. People don't really know to use them. Get a good ability. I'd recommend redirection spike, shield breaker, mag pull, anything like that that's really offensive based, you want. Steel block is okay too, but your mag pull is nice. Say the ball's like going straight up here. There's 3 blockers. You just run over here. I guess I went too far, but you can, like, run over here, pull it over, landed over there. There's 3 blockers here that can't receive that. So it's nice to get around defenders. It's nice to, you know, recover. Say your teammates got like a double touch, and then the ball's going like way out here. You can't quite reach it. So you're running over, grab it with the mag, slam it back down. Or you can just, what I like to do, I think I touched on this in my TSH guide. You can, you know, kind of throw it over. So yeah, abilities are really useful. A lot of get out of jail free cards like shield break. If you're on last touch, there's 2 blockers in front of you. Just pop a shield break, get it through them. Keeps the ball in play at the very least. Oftentimes it will score a point too. So abilities are really useful. Knowing when to use them comes into play a lot. You should have mastered the basics at this point, so now you're just building on those. You're building on those with a little bit of flair, a little bit of sauce, if you will. You should also start watching their side of the court a little bit more than yours. You know, see where an opening is. Like if there's an enemy here, there's an enemy here, you can reasonably assume that if you can get a spike from here along this line, it's going to be a lot easier to score a point. Stuff like that. It makes it noticeably easier to land spikes, plan out plays, whatever. And, you know, just court awareness. You know, covering your setter. If you're a spiker, usually you're not going to be playing on net, or usually you shouldn't be playing on net. If you're playing like 3s or something, you should have a setter that's like back blocking or something. It's another thing that you should learn, sort of back block. Instead of like forward blocking to slam it down, you can, it's called net fishing actually. You can, okay, hold on. You can go, and you can dig it out from their side with just a backwards block and S tilt. Usually that's a setter's job. If you're playing 3s, you'll have the setter back block, and then you can have your 2 spikers receiving if they miss the block, because it's still, a back block doesn't count as a touch, so you can back block, and then one of your receivers picks it up, you can still set, and then they can still spike. It's really just being aware, limiting your opponent's options while creating your own. Those are the biggest things, and then building upon your basics, you know, really work on that shift lock toggling. And if you haven't already, find a duo, find a trio. You can join the official Volleyball Legends Discord server. They have the, it's in the lobby. You can join straight from here. If you're not already in it, you can join this. You know, you can actually look for a teammate in that. And, you know, people do it all the time. I could probably put up a screenshot or something of people looking for groups or whatever. There's all kinds of levels there. There's like people in silver that are looking for teammates, people in gold. I highly recommend it. I've got a few friends that have been, I think he's a 4-time pro player now, and he met his duo on that in that looking for good post. So you can definitely find a good teammate that you'll play well with. Aside from that though, I think that's really the biggest things that you want to work on to get out of gold. All right, when you're in diamond now, you made it out of gold, you made it through all of the ranks. You can see the horizon. You're in diamond. You just need to make that final push. Biggest thing is find that duo, find that trio, find that stack that you can make that push with. It could be people you know, it could be people that you meet in like a public game. Maybe you play well with them, who knows? That's important. Having good chemistry with your team will make the difference. And once you're like at a level that you can solo queue, go for it. But if this is your first time being in diamond, odds are, you know, you kind of want that team. Most people are going to be playing with a team at this level anyways. Know each other's abilities too. Know how to play them. If you can communicate, like you call in Discord, maybe you're just talking in Roblox chat. Either way, have some form of communication or understanding that you know what you're going to do, so that you can, you know, actually coordinate your attacks, coordinate your recovery, stuff like that. Like if I say I'm going to mag pull it, you know, my team's not going to spike it away from me because they know that I have a plan. Diamond's where you want to start doing unexpected plays and start really improving your speed. Once you're in diamond, a lot of plays are going to be happening that are a lot faster than you used to, and you want to be like mechanically sound to deal with them, and also mentally prepared. Always be watching the enemies, see what they're doing. I'm personally rarely ever watching my side of the court. I'm only usually watching them, unless I'm like trying to line up like my run up for a spike or something. I'm almost never looking at my court. I'm watching them, seeing what openings they have, seeing where they like to play, and where I can place the balls. Also, if you check your scoreboard, well, this is a practice, so there's nothing, but if you check the scoreboard and one of them has bad ping, it's a little rude to do, but you can start trying to target them for receives. It's going to be objectively harder for them to receive on high ping. It's just, it comes down to, do you want to win or do you want to make it hard for yourself? You want to take every advantage that you can to win and leave no disadvantage on the table for them to take care of. So you yourself want to be as confident as a player as you can be, and keep your head up when you lose. This is important for any rank, but if you start getting like annoyed that you're losing, or you're like getting angry that you're losing, you're gonna be playing worse. At the end of the day, it's just Volleyball Legends. It's not that deep. Like I know you want to win, you want to hit pro, you want to flex to your friends. It's not that deep if you lose. It's just elo, you can get it back. It's not a big deal. Just take the loss in stride and keep pushing. You want to be assessing why you're losing though. So if you lost because you couldn't land a spike, you kept spiking out, maybe you weren't shift locking in time, you were just jumping and then spiking out instead of shift locking. That's important. You can take a step back, you can learn, and you can, you know, see what you did wrong, take accountability. It's not always your teammate's fault. It can be your fault too. That's important. And you know, some days it's just not a good ranked day. Sometimes you're just playing really terrible. It's just not a good day for ranked. And that's fine. You can just go chill out in Publix, you know, work on your fundamentals, vibe out, enjoy the game. Because at the end of the day, I think if you enjoy playing the game, you will play the game better. You don't always have to play ranked. You know, I know you want to grind, you want to get down, or get up to pro. It's fine. You can take a break. You will exhaust yourself if you're playing nothing but ranked. When you're in Diamond, you also want to be learning how to desync. Now, desyncing, it's kind of hard for me to show you here. Desyncing is super helpful to landing spikes and being unpredictable, just because it's so much harder to read. So what desyncing really is to shift lock, jump, and spike as closely to each other as possible. So instead of shift lock, jump, spike, you want to like shift lock, jump, spike, you know what I mean? You want to have those inputs as close as possible, because to you, it looks completely normal. But with your ping, and you know, your opponent's ping, it'll look a lot different to them. It's a lot easier to land spikes if you're less predictable with it, and you're harder to read. So that can absolutely boost your spikes to working well. It's a little bit tougher to do off a set, just because you need to time it with the set's arc and whatever. Unless it's TS8 or TSK, then it's, you know, pretty much the same. But getting used to that is super helpful, because, you know, unpredictability. It will take some getting used to. You're not going to learn it in like 2 seconds, but it's definitely worth the time to learn. And if you have like friends that can, you know, help you out, they can spot you, see if like, oh yeah, that did look good. That was a good desync. That helps a lot. I had a few friends, you know, just in public lobbies when we were just messing around, I'd be working on my desyncs and ask every now and again, like, hey, are these good, by the way? Because it is dependent on the height of the ball. If the ball's too high, you're going to spike too early and you're not going to hit it. And if it's too low, then the desync's not going to matter. So if you can get the height right, not like that. If you can get the height right and your timing down, then you become very unreadable. You want to be able to get cuts consistently. Cuts are an absolutely lethal thing to be able to hit in Volleyball Legends. So if you can learn how to hit them properly, it will really boost your ability to spike. Cuts are easier on like Sanu and Jinko just because you have the extra tilt. But like even on TSH, cutting it down like that instead of going down here or just across, it makes all the difference. Because in twos especially, defenders are going to be watching back here because that's where most spikes are going to land. So if you run up and then you just spike it down there, you know, they're not going to have time to really get in there, save the ball. It's a free point, assuming that they're not ready for it. Just watch your enemies, make sure that you're not going to get stopped by them. You're in Diamond, they're going to be good too. They're also in Diamond, so you need to be watching for all of this shit as well. Any of these guides, you need to keep in mind that this isn't only helping you so that you can catch your opponents off guard, it's helping you so that if they're doing it, you know what's happening and you can account for it and you can watch for it. Enough grinding, you should be getting these down pat regardless. Delays are incredibly useful. That's another reason why I like Magpul, because if it's like starting to drop, I can just jump late, delay it even further. Anything that you can do to catch your opponents off guard or mess up their timing will more than likely result in a point or result in them panicking and messing up what they're trying to plan to do. Like if I jump over here because they think I missed the ball, I just Magpul it to me, slam it down, what are they going to do? They're not ready for it because they assume that I've missed the ball. Just shit like that. You should also, at this point, probably be incorporating, if you're a spiker, trying to get your lines, like your line spikes really good. Trying to work on your corners, because most spikers will go closer to the net, so if you can place it in the corners, then that's really nice, really helpful. Anything you could do to kind of mess up your opponents. At this point, you shouldn't really be playing on the net, especially in twos. Most people are going to have at least one person on their team running shield breaker in twos, so you don't want to be playing on the net at all. For the most part, just stay down here, receive, and keep the play moving as fast as you can comfortably on your team. And hopefully that's faster than theirs will be. But don't be afraid to switch up the pace either. Like if you've been playing super fast, maybe slow it down, you know, get a nice little delay in. They'll try to counter spike you, block you, whatever. And it just won't work because you'll be delaying. It'll be a lot easier to land your spikes. Switch up the game, read what the opponents are doing, and you should be able to start climbing through diamond and get to pro. Anyways, you know, good luck in your games. Let me know if there's any guys that you want to see next. I know this is a little bit different than what I usually do, but I think it's worth touching on. Anyways, follow for more.